So you tweeted, if the DOJ fails to criminally indict Trump, Trump won't need Pence in 2024. He'll use the DOJ as his shadow running mate, claiming the DOJ's decision not to charge him is definitive proof that he committed no crime. It'll be like the DOJ co-signed everything Trump has done. I mean, this is what I'm glad the move that Fani Willis just made, because I feel like, aren't you having flashbacks to Mueller? Like, you're like, right, they couldn't get to the underlying crime of criminal conspiracy because of all the obstruction. They successfully obstructed, and then Bill Barr successfully lied enough to the American people about what was in what Mueller did find that, they get to keep repeating that. Mueller exonerated him when that is not the case. So this is what obviously is happening again. He actually used the same words. He said, my call in Georgia was more perfect than the Ukraine call, right?
Yeah, and Steph, let me draw an analogy that will be unpopular in some quarters. When we know that Trump stood by for more than 3 hours and gleefully watched his angry mob attack the Capitol and did nothing, I'm starting to feel, and I hesitate to say it because it is my beloved DOJ, like DOJ is watching our nation and our democracy being attacked for 3 hours, 3 months, 3 years, and they're standing by. They're standing back and standing by, and they're not addressing it in a way that has raised the anxiety level of this nation. It's raised my anxiety level.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to know they're protecting us. They're protecting our democracy. They're fighting crime. And as everybody keeps observing, people way smarter than me, there is no outward indication that the Department of Justice is going after the people who orchestrated, funded, organized, and incited the attack on our democracy. They really need to get off the dime.
Yeah. Does this Supreme Court ruling, I mean, I know you talked about that, and obviously the investigative circle tightening, does that move things quicker in any way? I mean, obviously for the other people we've talked about, I mean, they really, somebody I know of other legal experts were saying, like, it's hard to underestimate what a smackdown this was legally for executive privilege in general, right?
Yeah, I think one concrete way it may move things forward is in the event the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office was waiting for this decision from the Supreme Court to indict Mark Meadows. We're on day 39 of the Mark Meadows indictment watch. This is a man who 39 days ago was referred for prosecution, and weeks before that, he absolutely committed of contempt of Congress. If you or I committed it, we would have been locked up promptly. So I hope maybe the U.S. Attorney in D.C., Matt Graves, was waiting for the Supreme Court to say no executive privilege. So that clears the way for a Mark Meadows indictment. With a little luck, we'll see that in the near future.
Yeah. Well, and also this fake elector scam. I mean, I hope Dana Nessel is correct that, yes, there can be state charges, but this is clearly a federal conspiracy when you have likely 7 states that, have the exact same template for, an illegal act like that, right?
And I saw Dana Nessel say that. I'm glad she's strong and outspoken and referred this to the feds for criminal investigation. But, Steph, this isn't a state problem. And we shouldn't leave it to Georgia or New York or Michigan to clean up what is a federal mess. This is a federal problem. Donald Trump committed federal crimes, and he needs to be indicted federally.
Well, and also you, in terms of the seditious conspiracy charges, you tweeted the seditious conspiracy indictment ups the criminal ante on the foot soldiers of the insurrection. Now DOJ charged the command structure. I mean, this was a big leap, right, that we now have seditious conspiracy.
It was an important charge because now we know there was an organized effort to violently overthrow the U.S. government. But you know what? If you only take out the foot soldiers of the insurrection, you're allowing the command structure to do what? Recruit a whole new batch of foot soldiers and give it a second go. Yeah. That's where we're headed if they don't start getting after Trump and company.
Throw us a bone before we leave. You tweeted, ex-girlfriend of Matt Gaetz granted immunity, testifies before a grand jury. Immunity's not granted lightly, is it?
No. And we only grant immunity when, one, the person has a legitimate Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination that we need to deal with. We need to extinguish so we can pave the way to get their testimony to help us go after bigger fish. So the fact that she, one, was granted immunity, and two, has been presented to the grand jury, I think that's one giant step toward Matt Gaetz being indicted. It's not a done deal. It's not a sure thing, but it is way more likely now than it was before that information broke.
Yep. All right. Thank you for the bone, and thank you for your giant gavel of justice. We will talk to you
Thanks,
next.
Steph.
Talk to you next
Love
week.
you.
All right, there he goes. Love you.